Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is TheJMAZA on YouTube, and today I'm going to try to my best to review Avengers Endgame, which, oh my god, man, what a ride that was. But yeah, I'm going to try my best to review Avengers Endgame from beginning to end, going through great callbacks, Easter eggs, some of the most hype moments, the most sad moments, funny moments, and yeah, man, let's get straight into this review for Avengers Endgame. So right from the very beginning, right off the bat, man, we get hit with the feels already with Clint and his family. The very first scene, they're all outside playing baseball. I believe the two sons are playing baseball. The mom is making hot dogs. Clint is training his daughter to maybe be the new Hawkeye, right? Maybe. And then the daughter goes off screen. And we already know, man. We already know what's about to happen. This has to be during the snap, and bam, we hear the thunder in the sky. And they're gone. They're all gone. And man, it's right off the bat, we're already in the fields. We know they got dusted. And right at that moment, we already knew this was going to be such an amazing but also tragic ride for all of our heroes. Trying to see how they dealt with the snap. Jeremy Renner, for me, had a top 3 character arc in the whole movie, man. Him, Thor, Ant-Man, and Tony and Cap. The best characters in the whole movie, for me personally. They had an amazing acting roles, and yeah, man. And then that scene with him in Tokyo, as well as Ronin killing people that are doing bad in the world still 5 years later, perfectly encapsulates the pain and suffering that he's going through after losing his family to the snap. And the sword fight was so freaking badass also in Tokyo, man. I mean, that was one of the best fight choreography sequences in the whole movie. We then go to Tony and Nebula, right, in the ship out in outer space. And we see him recording his messages for Pepper. And even Nebula grew a lot in this film as well, right? Because before, we always seen as this like android type person who's stale, serious, stern. Only cares about her mostly until Infinity War. We know she hates her father, but we get some cool little small details here and there where, you know, Tony's eating the food, right? And he's trying to give her the food, trying to give her some. But she tells him, no, don't worry about it. You eat the food because you need it more. And even the moment where Tony's done recording his messages, he lays down, he falls asleep. And she goes over there later on, picks him up, puts him in the chair. You know, small little details just humanize her a lot more. And I thought she had an amazing character arc in this movie as well, which we'll get eventually to her, which some crazy stuff happened with her. But yeah. And right there, we get our first Captain Marvel appearance. She ends up going into space, finding Tony and Nebula, and bringing them back down to Earth. And I guess some people are confused as to why or how Captain Marvel was there, and what a coincidence it was that she was able to find him. But I guess they didn't see Captain Marvel, man, because at the end mid-credit scenes of that movie, we see that she goes back to Earth. She got the message from the little, what's it called? Whatever the thing's called from Nick Fury. She got the message. She goes down to Earth. She asks where Nick is. And obviously she's talking with the Avengers, the remaining Avengers. And they have to know that Tony's been on this planet fighting Thanos. He went over there and he's lost. He's probably trying to come back to Earth now. Can you please go out to space, try to find him, bring him back? And bam, that's what happens. So I don't know where the confusion is, but for anybody still wondering, that's what happens. And yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Rocket can track the ship also, because that's his ship, the Guardian ship. So wait, was that his ship or whatever? But he could track the ship. He could track the ship. And after that, we get to the scene from the trailer where a lot of us were thinking that, okay, there's somebody missing in this frame. You guys know what scene I'm talking about, when they're in the grass, when the ship's coming. But in the trailer, we didn't see that. We just see what is it? Cap, Black Widow, and somebody else, I think. And there's like a big old space right there in the grass, and we're like, okay, somebody's missing there. They took him out of the scene, but no, it's nobody. The camera keeps on spanning, and bam, Pepper Potts is still alive, man. Pepper Potts is still alive, and whew, thank God, because I think a lot of us thought that maybe she got dusted also, but thank God Tony and Pepper can get reunited once again. Yeah, man, that was such a cool little moment there with them reuniting, hugging each other, kissing each other, so good. Then if I'm not confusing things right, we get to that moment where Tony doesn't want to deal with the BS anymore of having to come up with plans to try to unalter the events of Thanos. And he tells them to deal with it. We get these really amazing acting sequences with Tony and Cap, and Tony kind of blaming Cap for not allowing him to put suits all over the world, right? Going back to Civil War, which is what the Accords were for, I think. The main conflict in Civil War. And yeah, man, Robert Downey Jr.'s acting in this was so freaking good. And he even took out his reactor and told him, all right, when Thanos comes back, put this on him and run away. And he kind of faints, but he's suffering from this also, just like everybody else. Up to this moment, we haven't seen how all the other Avengers are going through stuff after the snap, but they just put you into the mindset of Tony, who kind of blames himself for the events also, just like everybody else we're going to see later on. We go into Tony's state of mind and what's happening. Then we get the scene with Thanos resting in his garden like he said he would. Him completing his mission of bringing balance in his eyes. We have the remaining Avengers and Captain Marvel, Rocket, and Nebula go and confront Thanos, right? They go to the planet, and we end up finding out that he destroyed the stones already, right? Because I think Rocket or somebody mentioned, or I think it was Hulk, mentioned that he used the stone 5 days ago, and he was like, yeah, I used them to destroy them. So he destroyed the stones, pretty much eliminating any chance of them, of somehow bringing the people back from the snap. Which was shocking, because up to this point, there's no time travel talk. None of us are thinking about time travel. All we're thinking about is, all right, get the stones and somehow, some way, unalter the events so they can come back, right? I don't know, maybe enter the soul stone, something. All these theories were out there, and they all went away. Then we get to that scene where they all think that Thanos is lying to them, that he destroyed the stones. Rhodey's saying, no, they have to be here somewhere. Let's look around. He has to be lying. But then Nebula's like, and my father's a lot of things, but he's not a liar, right? And then Thanos goes into the little spiel about, thank you, daughter. Seems like I was bad to you, and Thor is done with this. He is done with this MFer, tired of him, and bam, grabs Stormbreaker and decapitates him right there, right on the spot. And Rocket, I think it's Rocket, the one that tells him, oh no, what did you do? Worried, because what if he was lying? What if the stones are still out there? And Thor answers him with, I went for the head, just like he told him back in Infinity War. Cool little callback right there to Infinity War, right before he snaps and enters the portal and gets the hell out of there. So that was a cool little callback there. Then we get the 5 years later on screen, right? 5 years later, after the snap, nothing has happened. Nothing, no plan, no nothing. They haven't solved anything. And I thought it was, first of all, I thought it was shocking, right? And that was in WTF moment. I don't want to swear because I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube. But yeah, 5 years have passed and nothing has happened. They haven't figured out a way yet. And I think for all of us, we're all in shock, right? And sitting in the theater, we're like, damn. We see the 5 come up years later, and we're like, oh my god, man, what are we gonna see? And then we get some cool moments of seeing how they've actually dealt with this stuff 5 years later after the snap. We get that little support group scene with Cap, right? Where they're all talking about what they did that week and how they're trying to deal with life now 5 years later. And we even have a cool little cameo by Joe Russo where he's talking about going on a date with a guy, and Cap pretty much telling everybody that they have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, Thanos should have killed them all, because what was the point of leaving them, right? Leaving half the universe if the other half couldn't live in this world that Thanos created. And that moment where Cap is telling everybody we have to keep moving forward, it's kind of hypocritical, right? He tells that to damn, what's her name? Black Widow, when they go and talk to each other. Right? It's hypocritical because he hasn't moved forward as well. He hasn't dealt with the 5 years. He's like, damn, what are we gonna do about this? How are we gonna bring everybody back? Then we get to the Black Widow scene where she's leading the Avengers pretty much, and everyone's just checking in from Earth, checking in from different locations and how everything's going. And then we get that moment where she and Rhodey have that conversation about Clint and what he's done in Mexico with the cartel members, I believe. And we see her be hurt by it, kind of destroys her a little bit inside. And yeah, she ends the call. Wait, hold on. Wait, we see her be hurt by it and what she's going through, and eventually that's played out later on when they're trying to get the Soul Stone. When they're on Boromir, right? And it's just so freaking heartbreaking to see, man. But yeah, we know she puts up a shield for her emotions, and she doesn't really show them up until like what, Civil War, also, where she's talking with Hulk about her past and her not being able to have a family. Her wanting to run away with Bruce. But yeah, that moment with Rhodey talking about Ronan, Clint, the great freaking moment to show how this is affecting her emotionally, even the toughest, how it's affecting them emotionally. Then we get Ant-Man's return, man, which is so freaking funny, so freaking hilarious. In San Francisco, back in the van, we see that it's in a garage parked somewhere, locked up. And thanks to Master Splitter himself, the damn rat from San Francisco, pushes the buttons. He's able to escape from the quantum realm, get out. Freaking Ken Joggers over there as a security guard lets him out. He's got his stuff in a little thing, carrying it. And then, you know, as he's going through, he gets to like pretty much a cemetery where they have these huge pillars with all the names of the people that got dusted away or disappeared. And he notices what's happening. Everybody's checking names. Well, pretty much 5 years have passed already. So all those people are just there to look at it. But he's in shock. He's like, oh my God, what's happened? What's going on? Because, I mean, for him, it's only been 5 hours, which is so freaking crazy. 5 years is 5 hours in the quantum realm. So he goes through the pillars, goes and checks names. First one he's looking for, Cassie, right? For obvious reasons. He wants to check his daughter's name. Did she die? Did she disappear? What happened? And bam, he's checking it. It's so freaking cool. Great acting moment from Paul Rudd also. He's checking the names. He doesn't see anything. He doesn't see Cassie's names, but he sees his name. So he's shocked now. Now he's like, okay, what the hell is going on? Why is my name on this? And I'm here, I'm alive, right? So he goes home fast, knocks on the door, hits it hard, and bam, Cassie comes out, man. Another good, heartfelt moment. Thank God Cassie is still alive, and they acted that thing out beautifully between them. Paul Rudd acted that thing beautifully. He's surprised that she's still alive, and obviously she's in shock. 5 years later, Scott shows up. So such a great moment between them. Kind of tragic at the same time, right? Because he's missed important formative years in his daughter's life. But we finally get some good news for our heroes. Scott is reunited with Cassie, and then eventually he makes his way to the HQ. We also get Professor Hulk, which is something we've seen in the comics, right? Where Hulk and Bruce Banner are combined together in a perfect harmony, with more of Bruce's intelligence showing. And that scene at the restaurant was so freaking hilarious, man. Between Hulk and the kids, and he's taking pictures and selfies with the kids. Tells them, go green or something when they're taking the pictures. And then when he's done, he tries to get the kids to take pictures with Scott Lang. No, first Scott tells him, hey, I'm Ant-Man, you want to take a picture with me? And all the kids are like, no. And Scott's like, they don't know who's Ant-Man. It's okay, whatever. But it's such a funny moment there between all of them. It's so cool. But yeah, he has full control of Hulk now, and that's cool to see. We then go to New Asgard and see Valkyrie for the first time, where she points them out to where Thor is living. And that scene with Thor was so freaking hilarious, but also shows you what state of mind Thor is in, right? So we go into their place, and now we see the now dubbed Fat Thor with Korg and his buddy, and they're playing Fortnite, and that was so hilarious. Like I said, man, so freaking funny. One of the funniest scenes in the whole movie for me. We get that scene with Thor cussing out the 10-year-old kid online that's I guess beating Korg a bunch on Fortnite, right? New Master 69, and oh my God, man, that scene was so freaking funny. So freaking funny. He cusses him out, tells him to go, that he's gonna show up at his basement and rip his arms off or something, right? And yeah, man, such a great scene. But what's also shocking to see that Thor's gained weight. 5 years later, he's gained weight. He has a beer belly. He's drinking so much beer. trying to wash away the pain and everything, and he doesn't have this body of an angel and a pirate like Drax said in Infinity War. But yeah, he's drinking his pain away from losing his mother, his father, his brother, his world, his people. Most of his people, there's still some Asgardians there living with him in New Asgard. And yeah, he places the blame on himself for not going for the head like Thanos told him to in Infinity War. For not killing him, for instead making Thanos suffer first before he kills him. He should have just gone straight for the head, wipe him clean. So he's blaming himself for all of this, and he's in so much turmoil for what's happened. And like I said, he blames himself for these events. He thinks it's his fault. And I think this is perfectly displayed later on when he's talking with his mom when they travel back in time, right? We're skipping a little bit right here, just in this little part. But when he travels back in time, he's talking to his mother in Asgard. And, she knows that's not Thor. That's not her Thor. That's a completely new Thor. But she's used to this stuff because I guess she grew up with witches, I think, what she mentioned. And yeah, man, that scene had one of my favorite moments in the whole movie, where Thor called to Mjolnir, right? Trying to see if he's still worthy or not. But it's just that moment, just for him. He doesn't need anybody else to tell him that he's still worthy, that he's still Thor, that he's still this great god, Norse god. And yeah, man, Mjolnir comes to him, and he's so freaking happy, man. This conversation with his mom really helped bring his spirits up. But having Mjolnir come to him still, and the All-Father spell still deem him worthy of Thor's powers, such a cool, strong moment for him. And that made him come back into being Thor, even though he wasn't physically the Thor we imagined, but inside he was Thor once again. And for me, that was beautifully played out in that. What's next? Then we get Ant-Man talking about going to the quantum realm, them talking about going back in time, potentially going to the quantum realm, because like he said, 5 years have passed, but for him it's only been 5 hours. And there's that conversation with him trying to explain everything, him asking whose sandwich is that because he's hungry because it's been 5 hours, and that was funny also. So they're trying to figure out how to do this stuff and how to build it. Tony doesn't want to help because it's been 5 years. He's now with Pepper. They have a family. They have a daughter, a young daughter named Morgan. But yeah, so now it's up to Bruce Banner to make it. Iron Man warns them not to do it because they're going to mess up something. Something could go wrong. And we skip forward, and they're using Ant-Man as a test dummy for it. And such a funny scene right there also with Ant-Man. They take him back to, what was it? I forgot what the time period was. I think maybe a year for an hour or a minute or something. I don't remember, but it was 10 seconds. He goes back. He comes back as a, teenager kind of years, or like 12, 13. Send him back. Bring him back. He's an old man. Send him back. Bring him back. He's a baby. Cap is like, yo, what the hell's going on? Bring him back, man. Bruce is like, I'm working on it. And bam, they bring him back. And now he's back to being the regular old Scott Lang. He's Ant-Man. And we get that funny little line where he's like, all right, guys, somebody wet my suit. I don't know if it's the baby me or the old me or if it's just me. And that was just so freaking funny, man. Like I said, Ant-Man had such an amazing role in this movie. And I thought Paul Rudd had an amazing acting role in this whole thing. And then, yeah, like I said, Tony lived out his life with Pepper. They have a daughter named Morgan. And during his time there, during all of this, Tony, in the back of his mind, he's got this time machine thing back there. And he's like, playing around with stuff with tech, trying to see if maybe he could figure it out. And bam, he figures it out. And he's like, shit, I actually did it. I figured it out. And then Morgan is there, cute little Morgan's there, and she starts saying the S word also. And he's like, whoa, no, don't say that. Your mom coined that word. That's on her, right? Such a cool little moment between father and daughter. And bam, yeah. So now they're going back in time. They go back to New York in 2012 to the first Avengers. We see the Ancient One, and she was defending New York at that time, which was so freaking cool. We get that interaction between her and Bruce, which was amazing for me. So yeah, they have this plan. They all go back in time to specific moments where they go get the stones, go get the Tesseract, the staff, the Soul Stone on Vormir, the Power Stone with Quill. The time stone from, obviously they want to get it from Doctor Strange, but they were 5 years too early, so they have to get it from the Ancient One now. So yeah, Bruce Banner and the Ancient One start having a conversation. She tells them that they're way too early. Doctor Strange is still over there performing surgery. He's not the Doctor Strange we know. He's just a regular doctor performing surgery. But yeah, she doesn't want to give up the time stone because it could mess up her own timeline. Not theirs, but her timeline. They could mess it up completely. And she comes to realization that maybe Doctor Strange saw something there that she didn't see, and she's made a mistake, right? Because she says that Doctor Strange is the best of them, of all the witches pretty much, or the wizards, like Tony says. And yeah, man, she gives us the time stone, and it was done beautifully for me. It was done perfectly. We also got that funny scene with Hulk and him seeing his past self wreck that one alien with the car, smashing him in, jumping on top of the car, jumping out, screaming, and Hulk and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you did that!" And Bruce Banner slash Hulk, Professor Hulk, is so embarrassed. He's like, "Oh man, I can't believe that was me," right? And so freaking funny, man. So freaking hilarious. We also get that scene in the tower with Tony, Ant-Man, and Cap, where they're trying to get the Tesseract and the staff. And Ant-Man mentioning that Cap was America's ass, because I think Tony mentioned that suit wasn't for Cap's figure, pretty much. That was funny also, man. That was freaking hilarious. But yeah, that was funny with Ant-Man. Also, that moment with Hulk taking the stairs was funny as hell too. Once he gets to the bottom, it ends up messing up Tony and Ant-Man trying to get the Tesseract. And that's where Loki disappears also, which crazy stuff is happening, man. We also get that cool moment with Cap, man. Two great moments with Cap there. When they go back to New York in 2012. One being the elevator scene, right? Perfectly matching what happened in Winter Soldier. Obviously, that's a different movie, Avengers and Winter Soldier. But in Winter Soldier, the same thing. They're all in the elevator, all of them. They all look at each other the same way. One guy reaches for his gun. And then Cap tells him, "Don't worry. They told me to come get this." And then he delivers the line, man. "Hail Hydra." And they're all like, "What? He's with us?" Which is a perfect callback to Easter egg to the comics, because I know it happens in the comics. I think he was actually part of Hydra in the comics. I don't know. I haven't read the comics, but I know some stuff. But yeah, cool little callback there. So freaking badass, but funny as hell also, because they were all like, "Damn, Cap is on our side." That's so freaking cool, right? So that was cool. Going back to the Winter Soldier scene. And then we get the fight with his past self, right? His past self thinking that I found Loki. He's here on the 4th floor or something, or the 14th floor, whatever it was. And they start fighting. They finally separate each other. And the past Cap says, "I can do this all day." And he's got his fist right, the classic Cap line. And him immediately replying, "Yeah, I know. So freaking funny, man. I died in the theater. That was funny. That was so freaking funny. Perfectly done. So everybody gets their stones except for Tony and Ant-Man, since Loki escaped with the Tesseract, which could set something up for his show that we're getting on Disney Plus later on. Or I'm pretty sure he just ends up dead. It doesn't change the timeline at all, if I'm understanding the timeline thing correctly. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't interrupt the timeline at all. He is dead. But they had to go back to 1970. That's where we get Stan Lee's cameo going with the car. Super quick. I don't think a lot of people in my theater noticed it, but I noticed that was my guy Stan Lee, so rest in peace. But yeah, they got to go back to 1970 to go get the Tesseract. That's a mission for Cap and Iron Man. And right there we had a great moment, man. Such a great moment between Howard Stark and Tony. Right? So they're down there. Tony's getting the Tesseract. They have this conversation with, he has a conversation with Howard. They end up going up to his car. And, Tony tells Howard that he did the best he could. Pretty much telling me that he's a great father. And this is a great little callback to Age of Ultron, the very beginning, right before the mother tells him about I think this was Ultron, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm mistaken, I'm sorry, but you guys know what scene I'm talking about, where he's playing like a little simulation between them, right? And their last goodbye that they had, where Howard and Tony's mother are there, and you know, he shows a little simulation of him saying goodbye to his dad, saying thank you, but it's not real. It's what he wished he would have said to him. And yeah, man, it perfectly plays out here. Later in the past, but then he tells him that money's not worth time or something. Cool little classic line that Howard told him later on. So yeah, cool little moment. We met Jarvis there also, who I think is an agent of Carter, right? I think he's in that show. I haven't seen that show. I need to react to so many MCU shows, man. Try to get the full picture. But yeah, cool moment between Howard and Tony. I think down there with Tony, no, it was with Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers, we see Steve seeing Peggy again, Peggy Carter, which is so emotional also, because that's the woman he's loved his whole life, and he got frozen in the ice, and he never got to spend life with her. How he would have, he never went on a date, right? And that plays back again later on. So we see that. We get some great moments also seeing the vintage Ant-Man helmet there also from the comics. We get a young Hank Pym as well. With some amazing CGI, man. He looked that looked perfect. How he would look like young. The hair also. We got the funny phone call of Cap calling Hank about a glowing package and how maybe they might have opened it, and Hank is like, oh my, hell no. Move, get out of my way, right? And he's running, and it's pretty funny also. And then we get to the Soul Stone mission, which is the most heartbreaking part of all these missions, man. Obviously, we all know they're in Vormir. They have to get the Soul Stone. There's only one way. Red Skull told us already. A soul for a soul. That's what has to be given. And he tells them that. He tells that to Natasha and Clint. They don't believe it, but then as they start, processing it, Natasha's like, no, it's real. Thanos had to kill his daughter Gamora, and after he killed her, he got the Soul Stone. So bam, now we're in this situation, right? One of them has to die, because they both love each other for sure. They love each other like siblings, pretty much like family. And man, it was so freaking heartbreaking, so sad. But also it has to be done. There's no other way to get the Soul Stone. No other possible way to get it, because they only have certain limited amount of Pym particles or the fluid, whatever. And that's why Cap went back also, because he had to go get more. But yeah, they end up fighting each other. Some cool sequences of them fighting each other. Natasha's running. Clint uses the arrow, blows it up. Then he tells her, "Tell my family I love them." He jumps off, but then Natasha catches up to him, catches him, shoots something to the rock for them to hang, and then Clinton is there holding onto Natasha with all he can. And yeah, man, Natasha ends up dying. She sacrifices herself to get the Soul Stone, and in the end, I thought it was the right choice, right? Because usually the man dies in this, right? I don't know, like it's always a man sacrificing himself, but I thought it was so powerful that Natasha was like, all right, it'll be me, Clint. I got this. I know you have something to go back to. You have your family, your children, your wife. You have so much to live for. And, she can't have any of that, unfortunately. And yeah, man, we lose Natasha, the first death that we have already. But she made sure the mission was going to keep going for everybody that was lost. So yeah, man, heartache for her. Rest in peace, Black Widow. It's going to be interesting what they're going to do with her movie now. But yeah, man. And just to touch on other teams, we got the most shocking thing, which was Nebula being infiltrated through her recordings in the past timeline. Thanos being able to see the recording that they were up to something on that planet where Quill was getting the Power Stone. And yeah, Nebula gets stuck there. They start infiltrating her mind and they see what the hell's going on. So then the past Nebula time travels and goes with the crew right now in their timeline. So yeah, man, so much crazy stuff is happening. We also had a funny moment there with Quill and him singing the song, right? And Rhodey saying he's an idiot. But yeah, man, that Nebula part really put wrenching the whole mission, man, in that whole third act. So they all return to the HQ. Tony builds a gauntlet out of his tech, and then they have to choose who's gonna wield the gauntlet. Thor wants to do it because, like I mentioned before, he feels like this is all his fault for not killing Thanos. But yeah, he can't do it because he's not in the right state of mind to do it in. So it ends up being Hulk, and that's a good choice, man. He's used to the gamma radiation, like he said. He gets it. He starts feeling all the power in him, and bam, snaps his fingers. It looks like everybody's back to life. There's birds chirping, little more sunlight outside, and yeah, man. Thanos ends up going to their timeline 5 years later, thanks to the past Nebula bringing them there, which kind of doesn't make sense because how did they get pin particles? How did they get the tech to time travel? But whatever, I'm not gonna argue because then the third act, whew, man, what a third act. But yeah, then all of a sudden the ship comes through the quantum realm, destroys the heck out of the whole place. They're all stuck underneath all the rubble. And yeah, man, we get the greatest third act in MCU history. For me, the greatest third act. So everyone gets stuck underneath the rubble. They're all in danger of dying underneath there. Thanos sends out Nebula to go get all the stones, and man, stuff starts going down the drain real quick. Thanos is waiting outside, and then Cap, Iron Man, and Thor see him there. They confront him, and that scythe that Thanos had, man, holy shit. That thing was doing damage to all of them. And the crazy thing that this was a younger Thanos, right? So this isn't 5 years younger. This is, what time did they travel back to the Power Stone? Had to be around the same timeline. So another, 7, 8 years. A younger Thanos who knows he can't get the stone, so he's more focused. And obviously he's strong as hell. And, he's figured out that the Avengers went back in time to deny him the chance of his destiny. So he's even more focused than he ever was before when he was collecting the stones. Now, all the stones are in one place on one gauntlet, and that's all he has to get. He's more focused than ever. And but yeah, man, they start going at it. We had some amazing fights between them. Cool fight choreography. They're all attacking him. Then we have this cool moment with Thor. He starts going at Thanos. They have an amazing fight sequences. Thanos tries to kill Thor with Stormbreaker. And Stormbreaker's right here, right on his chest, almost about to pierce him. And then, bam. Let the hype commence, boys and girls. Let the hype commence. He's about to kill him with Stormbreaker, and then, bam, hype moment comes. We start seeing Mjolnir move. Thor's old hammer. And then it, boom, it just rises up and flies. And we're like, okay, split second, we're thinking, oh, hell yeah, man. Thor's getting a Mjolnir back. He's about to hit him with it. But no, man. No. We were not ready for this. Mjolnir comes and bam. Cap calls it to him. And oh my god, man. So freaking hype, bro. So freaking hype. He calls it to him. Mjolnir deems him worthy of the power of Thor. He's able to use lightning, use thunder to attack Thanos. He starts doing these beautiful attacks with Mjolnir with the hammer. So freaking hype. We also get that response from Thor, him saying, I knew it, right? Which is a callback all the way to Ultron when they're in the loft, and they're all trying to lift the hammer. Tony, War Machine, everybody's trying to lift it. And, Cap goes up there, lifts up his sleeves, moves it, and it moves a little bit. And we see that moment there also with Thor. When he moves it a little bit, he's like, oh shit, he moved it, right? But then he doesn't move it anymore, and he's like, okay, yeah, I knew it. But yeah, cool little callback to Ultron where, Thor knew something was going on with Mjolnir and Cap, so he was worthy. The All-Father spell deemed him worthy to hold it, to have the power of Thor. And man, it's so freaking badass, man. So freaking badass. And yeah, they end up going at it. 1v1. Some cool attacks with the hammer and shield, like I mentioned, but then Thanos ends up separating them apart. Ends up destroying Cap's shield. In the meantime, Clinton is just trying to keep the gauntlet away from everybody, from Thanos' forces that are chasing him underneath. But yeah, then the past Nebula gets the gauntlet. I think she's the 2014 Nebula gets her, gets the gauntlet. But then Gamora from that time period also ends up convincing her to give it up. And then we go back up top. Outside we see Iron Man, Thor, and Cap. They're all defeated. And Thanos' army is all there. Huge army. Spaceships. Everything. The freaking whales are here from 2012, the Avengers. And Cap looks so defeated, man. And he tells him, I can do this all day. But you can see in his face, his nonverbals, that he's thinking the exact opposite. That this is over. They lost the battle. What the hell can he do? He, Thor, and Iron Man, what are they going to do against this whole army by themselves? What are they going to do? Right? They failed the mission. And bam, the final battle begins. Let the hype commence once more. And then all of our heroes start showing up. Sam to Cap, can you hear me? You know, it's super faint, but you can hear it. And we're like, oh shit, here we go. And he's like, on your left. Cool little callback again. Then Black Panther comes through with Shuri and Okoye. Then all the portals start opening up, man. Oh my god, so freaking hype. Everyone is here. The people from Asgard, Guardians of the Galaxy, Valkyrie, all of Wakanda, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Groot, Hope Pym, aka the Wasp, Shuri, like I mentioned. Even Howard the Duck is there with a gun, man. I mean, a lot of people missed it, but you can see Howard there when the Wasp shows up, I think. But yeah, man, even Howard the Duck is there. Everybody's here. And we also have Pepper Potts there in her suit that Tony gave her. Great little callback to the comics, I believe, also. And also a little callback to the beginning of the film where Tony tells his daughter Morgan that, I think when he's putting her to sleep, that her mother never wears anything he gives her. And bam, she shows up with the suit. So freaking hype. We also have another funny moment there with Doctor Strange where he asks Wong, is that all? And Wong responds to him like you wanted more, man. That's so freaking funny. Like, how much more do you want, bro? We brought this whole thing. We brought everybody here. Then we get that super emotional, much needed reunion between Peter and Tony. And the hug was everything, man. Peter's over there explaining to him what happened. He's like, yo, Mr. Stark, remember when I got dusted and then 5 years passed and I woke up and I must have knocked out or something, but then Doctor Strange told me it's been 5 years, we gotta go help him. And he started doing his little yellow, right? And then Tony's just like, come here, man, and he hugs him. And oh god, it's so beautiful, man. So beautiful, so good for the heart. We needed that so badly. But yeah, cool little reunion there. And you know, unfortunately, we didn't know this was gonna be the last time they would be doing that, man. So yeah, more later on that. But yeah, Cap finally gets to say the line that everybody's been waiting for 11 years. You know, he's tired, but he says it. Avengers, assemble. And then boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, bro. Oh, just thinking about it. I gotta go rewatch it already. Getting a little emotional just thinking about it. It's so freaking cool. But yeah, everybody starts going at it. We get the little Wanda 1v1 moment with Thanos, and she manhandles the dude, you know, because she took everything from him, like she said, and Thanos like, I don't know who the hell you are, but she manhandles him. Clint's trying to keep the gauntlet away from everybody. They have a relay race to keep it away from Thanos. Spider-Man is the last one to have it, and he's almost caught. All these little creatures are on top of him. Then he activates instant kill, and all the metal legs start killing everybody. So freaking cool, badass. I think this is the moment, you know, unless I'm confusing it, but I think this is the moment where Thanos tells him to rain fire on them. And either this is the moment or when he starts fighting Captain Marvel, I don't know, but whatever. Start raining fire on them. Bam, the ship starts shooting everything on the ground, regardless if it's killing his own army. And then bam, the ship starts shooting somewhere else, up to the sky. And we're like, well, who the hell is that? And of course, Captain Marvel finally appears, destroys the ship. She comes down, gets the gauntlet from Peter. Peter asks her, how is she going to do this all alone? How is she going to maneuver herself through all of this? And we get a super cool, great moment between all the female superheroes helping her. Between all of this, when all this is happening, we also get this cool moment, also tragic moment, where Doctor Strange and Tony, they see each other again, and Tony asks Strange to tell him what happens here. What's the end game? What's that one possibility out of 14 million, whatever things that you saw? What's gonna happen? And Doctor Strange replies to him that if he tells him what's gonna happen, it won't end up happening, right? And right there, that moment, I knew, man. When he said that line, I knew Tony would be sacrificing himself some way. Some way, Tony would be the one to rid the evil, but oh man, we were not ready. But yeah, eventually Thanos uses the Power Stone to hit Captain Marvel, I believe, if I remember correctly. And yeah, he gets the gauntlet. Iron Man grabs the gauntlet from him, right, trying to take it away. But then Thanos hits him away. And it looks like Thanos won again. He's done it again. He's won. And he raises the gauntlet and he says those words, I am inevitable. And he snaps. But nothing happens. Nothing happens, man. Nothing happens. And we're all like, what the hell's going on? Nothing happened. And that split second, we all forget in that moment about the nanotech that Tony created. The nanotech on his suit. How he could just transfer over everything, right? And bam, we see Tony there. He's got the gauntlet in his... Oh my God, it's so freaking badass. He has the gauntlet, man. And now this is where it gets tough, right? And then he says that line. He says that line, I am Iron Man. Snap. And bam, he vanishes away. Thanos and his whole army. Great little callback to all the 3 Iron Man movies, right? Where he has to figure out that the suit isn't Iron Man. Tony Stark is Iron Man. So cool little callback with him ending his time there, saying, I am Iron Man. I thought it was beautifully done. Obviously, it's sad, super tragic, man, that we're not going to have Tony anymore. But potentially, we could have a new Iron Man with Morgan, maybe. Or maybe somebody else takes the armor. I don't know, man. We get the final moments with Peter and Pepper, and it's so freaking sad, man. Tony's done. We see his body is all crusted up from all the power, just like we were seeing in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Volume 1, where they have the Power Stone and they're all getting corrupted pretty much. Same thing happened to Tony, but it was too much for him. And Pepper tells him that they'll be okay and he can rest now. Great little callback back to the second act of this movie, where he's figuring out the time and travel thing, but he doesn't want to do it at all. And they're on the couch, right, and they're talking with each other, and he tells her that he wants to throw in the lake so he can forget about it, so he can rest. But then Pepper tells him, but could you really? Could he actually rest? Because he's a hero at the end of the day. He wants to do what's best for everybody. And yeah, man, such a cool little callback. Damn it, man. And we lose Tony there, Tony Stark. And that's the end for him. His reactor shuts off and bam, he's dead. Rest in peace, Tony Stark, baby. The man that started this all in 2008. So Robert Downey Jr., thank you, brother. But yeah, we go to the funeral. Everyone's there. Slow transition between everybody on all their specific groups. We have Clint and his family, Guardians of the Galaxy, no Gamora, which is important. No Gamora. And we see Captain Marvel. We see the kid from Iron Man 3 there also. And it ends with Nick Fury there. Right to the left, he's the last person. And then we get that, man, another great callback, emotional, sad moment in the whole movie between Happy and Morgan. They're on the bench, on the porch, and they're talking. And Happy asks Morgan, "Are you hungry?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want a cheeseburger." And oh my God, man! Oh, what a great callback! Such an emotional thing, also, man, because a lot of people in my theater, they didn't even respond to that little answered cheeseburger. But that's all the way back to Iron Man, the first one, where he gets out of the cave and they rescue him and he's coming back. He's back on the U.S. and the first thing he tells Happy is that he's hungry. Go get some cheeseburgers from Burger King, I think it was. And man, what an emotional moment, man. We see Happy also. In his face, he's like, "Oh my God." and he tells her, "I'll buy you all the cheeseburgers you want. I'm here for you." And it's so emotional, man. God damn it, it's so perfect. But yeah, end credits show up. We get all the Avengers, all their names, stuff like that happening. But then we get the OG Avengers literally signing off with their signatures, their pictures, their names. Beautifully done, and bam, 11 years of MCU history is done. And at the very end, we also get the sound of Tony hitting the anvil from Iron Man at the very end of the movie, the credits and everything. But yeah, man, what an amazing overall great storytelling arc of 11 years, 23 films. It's amazing how they did it. Absolute phenomenon. How they were able to construct this into one overarching arc between it. Kevin Feige, hats off to you, man. But yeah, we also got some speculation for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, right? Because Thor joins them, and there's a funny scene right there with Thor and Star-Lord, Quill, and they're all, they're competing to see who's in charge, and cool little interaction there between them, super funny also. But yeah, Quill's over there searching for Gamora, 2014 Gamora, not his Gamora, because his Gamora's dead. She died in the Soul Stone. There's no reversing that. But yeah, now they gotta figure out that's what Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is gonna be about, right? Thor joining the Guardians of the Galaxy and then potentially going to go find Gamora, right? Because Nebula's there, and Nebula's back to being normal somehow with the timeline. But yeah, cool little moment there as well. But yeah, man, overall, what a great freaking movie. Amazing movie. Honestly, it's worth rewatching so many times. I gotta go watch it in IMAX. I gotta go rewatch it in a normal screen. But yeah, man, such a great film. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Hopefully I've gone through it. Attacked all the details, everything, all of the callbacks, Easter eggs, sad moments, hype moments. Maybe I might have missed some. If I did, comment down below what you guys thought. What some things that I missed. What were your favorite moments from this film? And yeah, man. I also forgot to mention, but the I Love You 3000 when he's talking with Morgan at the end of the funeral when he has the recording. Oh man. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the review of Avengers Endgame. So freaking hype. Hype was worth it. This is the best film in the MCU in my opinion. My opinion only. Man, that third arc alone, the third arc of the movie, bro, that thing is so freaking crazy. But anyways, I've talked long enough. Thank you guys so much for watching the review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hey, make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, because I'll do this for every other movie that I watch, like Star Wars Episode 9. But yeah, comment down below what you guys thought about the review, what you guys thought about Avengers Endgame. And yeah, see you guys next time, alright? Rest in peace, Tony. Thank you.